This video is brought to you by Miniature Market. Thousands of board games, miniatures, and paints, discount prices at miniaturemarket.com. Hey everybody, it's your old pal Rob, and well, I wanted to talk about something because this month, in March, March 30th exactly, is the day that I started filming my own content. I had a YouTube channel for a while before that, but I didn't really start filming things until March 30th, and I remember it, and I said, yeah, I'll give it a try. And when I got 10 views, I thought it was the greatest thing that ever happened. And then my wife subscribed to me and my kids, and I had 15 people subscribe within 2 days, and I was so excited. And the thing I wanted to talk about, and the reason I called this the Rodney Smith effect, is the effect that he had on this channel. This channel never would have been without Rodney Smith. And I'll never forget the first time I saw him, which he was in his basement, nothing in the background, and it was Mansions of Madness. And then he did, like Space Hulk, and then Wrath of Ashalon, which are all games that I had and were inspired to buy because I was able to learn how to play a lot of those games, except for Space Hulk, because, I've been playing that since the beginning of time. It was so much easier to learn the games from Rodney. And Rodney has this unbelievable kindness and purity in each of his videos. It's about the game, focusing in on the game. One of the things that helped me inspired is I never wanted to be Rodney. Okay, Rodney was a guy that was himself, and that's it. Okay, there was no way that you were ever going to be a Rodney. He is a very unique individual, and we'll talk more about that in our friendship. But what I wanted to do was, I said, wow, this board game thing is really fascinating. And I think instead of being talked down to by people, and there were a lot of bigger channels there that talked down to you and made you feel like they were experts at board game, and that you couldn't, you felt talked down to. He talked to you as a friend. And I said to myself when I wanted to do this, I said, I wanted to take the elements of what he did, which was just be myself, okay? And portray that and do something different and paint, because there wasn't a lot of people that painted at that time. And I started painting a little bit and creating different things, and then talking about games and things, and incorporated my family, like he incorporated his son and daughter at the time. But what we did is we would try to stream a Saturday night. And for me, that was different because it was Saturday night. We would always look and see what my wife was cooking, which we would get on film, and we'd have snacks, and we would play a 3-game tournament, and we would just have a lot of fun. And, the streams were like for hours upon hours, but we didn't care about a lot of things. And, as far as subscribers, even though it was exciting when we got our first 100, we thought it was like the greatest thing. And we thought, no, now we did it. We did well. And as things went on and I started to do more and venture out and expand what I did, I always looked to Rodney. So when I went to my first Gen Con, which was, 10 years ago or whatever it was, and I had a chance to meet him, for me, he knew who I was, because I think I was doing stuff for the Dice Tower at that time. For me, that he just never understood. And I always say, this channel would never be if it wasn't for you. And we became very good friends. We weren't friends that we talked every week or something like that. You know, I would always check on him on the holidays, ask how the kids were. I knew his daughter was down at Disney doing an internship or something like that. And I said, well, you know, we're in Florida. If there's ever a problem, I know you're up in Canada, you know, just call me. I can handle anything that you need. And I was always there for him. And he always gave me good advice. We always saw each other. There was always a warm hug. And he's the guy that you see on screen. He's the guy that you see on Instagram and all these other things. He really is that person. There were times he gave me advice, you know, and there were times, you know, I'm not going to lie to you. There was a time he was actually kind of disappointed in me. The time I broke the meeple and I said, this is the real man versus meeple. And it wasn't pointed at all the guys at Man versus Meeple. It was more that little snarky little Jeremy guy who's no longer there. And I like the guys from Man versus Meeple, so I don't want you to think there was a problem. I just had a problem with him because he was a bit of a jerk. And come to find out, I wasn't wrong. A lot of people thought he was a jerk. But as Rodney got to know me, he knew who I was and knew what type of generous person I was. You know, even though I knew him, I never worried about, you know how big his channel became, and never tried to suck off of his fame or mention too many things or really talk about our relationship. He surrounds himself with people that are just like him. And this is why he's the #1 board game channel in the world. I mean, plain and simple. His numbers speak for themselves. In the short time that he's done this, you know, he has surpassed so many channels because he does things right. You know, you look at the people that are around him, okay? Matthew, who I knew from Dice Tower. Fantastic, warm, wonderful person. Paula, you know, is just kind and funny and giving. And Chaz, how could you not love Chaz? Chaz is very special and a very, very close friend to Rodney. And they got along because they're the same person in a lot of ways. Their hearts are good and pure. They didn't do things the wrong way. They didn't you know, go to conventions and make people take them to dinner and you know, exploit their fame. They just felt they were ordinary guys just trying to make it in this business. And I always admired that, and I modeled that. A lot of the things I do after the way Rodney did things. And we would talk, and, you know, we were both at BGG at the same time. And, you know, for us, we had a certain way that we wanted to portray things, a kinder way where people wanted to make things more political, and we walked away from it. Well, I walked away from it in a way, #1, because my painting hand went, unfortunately. And, you know, and please, you know, BGG, they're all good people. I love Scott more than you can ever imagine. But the way Rodney conducts himself, and I remember him showing up a bunch of slides during an in-service that we had together, and how brilliant of a businessman he was. Okay, how smart he was. And then when he finally decided to create his own team and do things differently and take things to another level on his channel, you know, you constantly have to evolve. And one of my biggest problems, you know, 10 years later, is I didn't evolve because life got in the way. And I didn't try to evolve. Where if you watched Rodney, how the professionalism and the camera work and everything was almost like a TV show that you would see in prime time, and the perfection and the drive to give your very best and help people and be kind to people. I like them. I like to run into one person that did not have a great experience with Rodney. Now I know plenty of people that are jealous of him, and a lot of people that have, I've heard say things because it's jealousy. It's always jealousy. I'm telling you that I would not be here now 10 years later if it wasn't for my very dear friend. Him and I talked recently, and I sent him a text because I knew I was coming up on 10 years, and I wanted to thank him so much for all the things that he had helped me with and how much he inspired me to even try to do this. And without his influence, his guidance at times, and sometimes just pure kindness, I don't think I would have hung in as long. And I told him what I felt my future plans were, which I'll reveal at the end of this month. And I made it quite clear, and I wanted him to be the first to know. He was the one that inspired me. I wanted him to know. Now, whether he cared or not, I don't know. I didn't want to, but, I don't like bothering him a lot. But there are just times that we just talk. If I see something, or he sees a hurricane coming this way, he always checks in, makes sure we're all right. And there's just a very deep respect for each other. And this coming up on 10 years, I wanted to pay my respects to a very dear friend that to me, if it wasn't for him, I don't think I'd be where I'm at. I've been very thankful for the relationships with other people in the board game community. But his was always the purest, the kindest, and the one that stuck in my heart the most. And somebody that when I stop this, I think I will always check in and make sure he's all right, and tell him how much he's always meant to me, as a friend, as a colleague, as a lot of things. And I wouldn't have been able to do what I did without him. And I will be eternally grateful to Rodney for everything. There are very few people in this business that have been very kind and good to me. And Rodney is one of the ones on the top of that list. And, I have less than 10 fingers worth of people that have been, very, very good to me. And Rodney's just one of those people. There have been so many bad people that I could fill a sack with names, because it's always greed and selfishness and all these other things. And I'm a type of person that would always swing back. And, I have that play yard mentality, which isn't always right. And when things were always kind of dumb, or we saw something dumb, Rodney always just brush it off like it was nothing and just go, there's nothing you can do about some of these things. And, I just do things my way, he would always say. And me, I'd be more like, I'll... And it's just the way I am, and it's different styles. And I always admired him for just being able to just say, something, I'm going to stay in my zone. And if you look through the years, he has always stayed in his zone, and he has always done the right thing, and he has always been good for this business. Board gaming wouldn't be where it is if it wasn't for people like Rodney, okay? And you wouldn't have had this golden age. Companies wouldn't have thrived the way they did if it wasn't for him taking the time and the professionalism to read those rule books from the beginning to end, whether they were good, bad, or indifferent, and come up with a video to make you understand and go out and purchase that game. Okay? Just without saying it was good or bad, but showing you the game and letting you decide how to do it. And that is something that is special. It is a gift, and him and his crew do it better than anybody else. And here I am on my 10th year of doing this, or pretty much heading into it. And I can't help but be thankful for his friendship, for everything that he's inspired me to do, and giving me the inspiration to do this for 10 long years. So there you go, the Rodney Smith effect, and how it is affect this channel, and I'm sure many others. I just don't care about the other ones. I only care about this one. But I'm very thankful. And Rodney, if you ever see this, thank you so much for your friendship and everything else that you have brought to the table for me. I will be eternally grateful for it, and always thankful, my dear friend. And your other crew too, and make sure you say hi to Chaz for me too. Until next time, my friends, here we are in the month of my 10th anniversary. Until next time, we'll see you soon, everybody.